Good morning, everyone. Everybody having a good time? You enjoying this? You're learning a lot? Soaking everything up? As a clearinghouse matter, before I begin, there's a lot of information I'm going to be providing y'all with this morning. I'd like you to just sit back, relax, and I'll have a place in the middle of this where I'll show you a place you can text that'll immediately sign you up for conference updates and some free software we built to give to everybody in the conference. So, who in here, just by show of hands, is currently using artificial intelligence in some way in their business? You at least have used GPT, right? You've at least used ChatGPT. Okay, and that's great. But what I want to bring up today right now is how, the talk is titled, Being Small as Being Your Superpower. How being small today, in 2026, is arguably the best time ever in human history to start a small business. And I'm going to give you some ideas on why this is today, and hopefully give you some actionable pieces that you can take away from this room and start putting into your business tomorrow or Friday. So, everybody in this room, I love small business owners and founders, because we all have kind of done that hustle. Everybody in small business, it has to be a little self-delusional. Because if you jump off that cliff and you do not flap your wings and you do not fly, those rocks are very real down below. Every one of us in a small business will hit kind of the pits of despair at some time. We'll ask ourselves, why am I doing this? I've got another problem with another employee. Oh my gosh, I have a vendor who's 160 days behind and I really like them, but I don't know how to collect on this. What do I do with this? Stop that stuff. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't benefit you. And everybody in this room needs to hug and find another founder to talk to, because it's very, very lonely when you're building your company. Understand that we've all suffered those same events. Now, that being said, the two things that every founder suffers from is the bottleneck, the founder bottleneck. At some point in time, you need to look yourself in the mirror and say, I am the problem. I am the bottleneck in my business. I need to get out of my own way. There's only two currencies you have in life. You have time and you have money. There's nothing else. And at the end of your days, at the end of your life, you can never make more time, but you can always make more money. Now, why does this matter? Because I'm going to suggest that that fact I just gave you is not necessarily true in the age of artificial intelligence. In fact, you can use AI in a small business to perhaps make yourself some more time, to be more efficient, to be more valuable, to turn and be maneuverable. On the screen there, this is an example of the old guard. This is the large corporations. And by the way, unless you have billies in the bank, you're all small businesses now. Every single one of you is. I do some consulting for Fortune 100 companies, and the thing I'm going to tell you today is their secret weakness. They are that cargo ship. They take a long time to turn around. They take a long time to adapt. And right now, they're talking about how they're introducing AI in their businesses, while in fact, they've got committees to talk about perhaps meeting, to perhaps discuss, maybe looking at, maybe putting initiative into our companies. And they've got all the money in the world. The reality of it is they take a long turn to turn, but they will turn at some point in time. There's a window of time over the next 18 to 24 months where you can be the speedboat. You can literally use being small as your superpower, and you can look at putting new implementations, new systems, new processes in place that would take them 6 to 12 months to adapt. And in fact, for small businesses, they return a 2 times higher return on investment in a shorter time window than large companies. There's several things working in your favor. You can change what you're doing immediately. You can go out and implement something new in your business without getting approved by another committee. You can find something new that works for you, and you understand the bottlenecks in your business because you are close to it. And in fact, you might be it. It's time to get rid of all those old things that we hold dear. We're in Louisiana. There's a thing called a gree-gree. And a gree-gree are these things we carry around, these kind of totems we carry around. Throw that stuff away. It doesn't work in the modern world. This is the elephant in the room. AI hype is everywhere. If you've been on LinkedIn any point in time in the past 12 months, you've started to notice something. It's not this, it's that. The three things no one's telling you are, I made $300,000 average recurring revenue in the past 24 minutes with my AI tool. All of that is BS. I've been to a big developer conference recently, and I met 25 different business owners that they had used AI to generate fully production-ready software. And I'm so excited. We've got 7 pieces of production-ready software we built in the past 12 months. I was like ready to open my book of business. I was like, man, guys, let's share notes. Oh, we're in super stealth mode. We're a tech company. It's all BS, man. All these people who said you just made money in the last 24 minutes are lying to you. Now, I'm not saying there aren't good tools out there. There are. I'm not saying there aren't amazing things you can do with artificial intelligence. There is. But the reality of it is that hype is everywhere, and you must follow the money and find out why they're telling you these things. What I'm going to introduce you all to now, instead of wasting the $69 on whatever the thing is, I'm going to encourage everybody to stop using spoons. Now, if I told you to go in your backyard and dig a hole right now, there's a lot of ways you could do that. You could go out there and you could dig with your hands. You could actually be given a spoon and you'd be like, thank you so much for the spoon. I'm going to dig a hole now with that. And anybody using the free versions of any artificial intelligence software are using the equivalents of spoons. It is the cheapest, best spend of any CapEx dollar you have right now. If you're spending $50 a month, $500 a month, it is the cheapest employee you will ever have. Go buy the paid tools. The paid tools aren't just a little bit better, they're much, much better. And if you want to run fast and you want to go far, use the right tools to help you get there. But whenever you do anything, you're going to have to remember what it was to be 5 again. I remember being 5 years old and finding a refrigerator box that was left at my neighbor's curb. We hauled it into our yard, and that became a spaceship. We cut a hole in the side of the box. I had a set of Crayola crayons, which, God, I hated because I could never draw on the lines. And we colored all over that box, and for an entire weekend, that was a spaceship. Then it was a lemonade stand. Remember what it was like to be 5. When you were 5, you weren't burdened with everything that happens when we finally grow up. You remembered how to imagine and how to play, because that's how you need to use artificial intelligence. Doing things the legacy way you did them before is not what you need to be doing now. This is one of the beauties of being a small business right now, is that you don't have 20 years of data that you can't get rid of. You can play with the systems. And every founder in this area needs to play with the systems. One of the biggest things that's happening when I talked about the hype phase, when I've done consulting with these large corporations, is you'll meet these executives. And they're like, well, I saw this thing on LinkedIn that said I could do the following. And I'm like, go find that. Try that in your business. I talked to an administrative assistant last week who was basically almost crying talking to me. And she said, I've been working on this for the past 2 weeks. My boss said this is possible. And I'm like, your administrative assistant, what are you doing? He's trying to have me build out a new proposal and quoting system using Claude and building it on my own. What? You're an administrative assistant. What do you know about quoting systems and tools? Are you the person who builds quotes? No, my salespeople are doing that. Then why did he put you in charge of it? Well, he said it can't be that hard. In the hands of a professional, artificial intelligence is a massive game changer. In the hands of the uneducated or uninitiated, it is a fool's errand. If you understand marketing, then go use it as a marketing thing. Use it to amplify your ability, to augment what you're doing. But if you've never done it before, okay, here's your number. How many of you in this room are attorneys? No one. How many of you are using AI to write your contracts for you? No, I'm not saying that's a bad place to start. That's a good first draft. But then for God's sake, give it to an actual attorney so their malpractice is on the hook if they screw it up. Because the AI systems have no accountability for that. A lot of people think it's like a magical. Just AI is the only technology in history that will cheer you wildly on as you drive a car off a cliff all the way to the ground. Now, that doesn't mean they're not amazing. It doesn't mean it can't do amazing stuff for you. What it is you have to you got to wrap your hands around the systems. You got to dig your hands in the dirt. You got to play with these systems. So the reason I do this is I am also an attorney. And anytime I give a talk, everybody always says, you're an attorney, you want to just tell us no. That is not true, but I want you to understand control and governance. Would anybody in this room hire an intern in their company and give them access to their bank account on day one? No? Then why are you doing it with AI? So it's not that you can't do that. It's where do they need to be in charge? Right now, Silicon Valley is addicted to this idea of removing friction from your business. Friction is what you need. Your car's turning against the ground, and that's how you get moving. But it's also what makes you stop. And if you don't have brakes on the car, I argue that that's more important. So, what I'm going to talk to you about is how do you implement those tools. Now, the reason this is important is for everyone in this room is I'm not telling you no. But let's be smart about it. Don't give the intern the keys to the car. If they wouldn't pick your kids up from school, you probably don't invite them over to babysit. There's a level there. And everybody in this room, ask yourself, there are certain things, people talk about governance all the time in AI, and I'm like, there's a limit. Would you let the AI hook your kid up to a hang glider and push it off a cliff? Do you trust it to do that? There are limits. We all should have them. And it's important in your business to figure out what those are. If it's around things where it's your personal keys, your finance, things like that, you need a little more governance. If you have the capacity to absorb the losses when it does make a mistake, then that's fine. But recognize what you're looking at and what you're trying to do with it. Here's an example of an easy way, a quick win. It's removing friction from your pipeline. For most people, if you do a proposal for a client, you want to either be the first proposal they see or the very last. Because that's usually where you close more of your deals. You get lost in what I call the muddy middle. But of those two things, you can control being first or have a good chance of being first. You can never control being last. Last happens as an accident. Last, you got lucky. I think it's more important to be good than lucky. And being good is turning those proposals faster. One place you can do this is absolutely using it for what I call speed of impact. Getting the proposals out the door sooner to the person who's going to make the decision. If you can be first, you have a 20%, statistically speaking, higher chance to close a deal. So let's look at where can we remove friction in our pipeline. Is it preparing the proposal? Is it getting the data? Is it answering the phone call? But for God's sake, think about what makes you stand out in your business. If there is something that is your special ability, if it's your people who talk to the people on the phone, if the human being is one of your secret sauces, your secret advantages, do not automate. Do not automate your advantage. If you automate your advantage, then you're going to look like everyone else. So, this is what's called a quick wins matrix. Has everybody seen one of these before? I will introduce it to those of you who have not. Everything you put in your business has an amount of effort that's required for it, high and low. Oh, I know you guys are taking pictures right now. Do not. I've got a better, I promise, it's like a birthday cake that arrives and you didn't expect it. It's coming in just a second. So, high, low effort, high, low impact. What you want to be spending time on is things in this top quadrant where it says quick wins. They're low effort, high impact. High effort, high impact things are important, and those are big processes. That's implementing a new customer relationship management database in your system, a CRM. Those things take more time. And things that are high effort and low impact are distractions. And for most of the people in this room right now, that is chasing the agent train. If you've heard about agents, Moltclaw, OpenClaw, all that stuff, I'd be glad to talk to you about it at length. It is a fun hobby project. It's cool when it works, and when it doesn't, it deletes your database. I'm only admitting that may or may not have happened to me. I'm saying it for a friend. So, but with this, here's an example of some things that would be quick wins in your business. These are, by the way, this is a gloss. This is not anything crazy. But the thing I want to talk about next is there's two kinds of governance I want y'all to put in place. The first is called human in the loop. Anything you do with AI, I'm going to submit, unless you have really good capacity and appetite for challenges and danger, you need a human to review it. Now, that does create a bottleneck, but the reality of it is, if I gave you this 5 years ago, you'd be like, oh, human in the loop? I'm like, you're going to go 5 times faster. You'd be like, that's great. But now people have agents. They're like, how can I take the human out of the loop? I'm not going to say anything bad about the Pentagon, but they're doing a lot of that right now, and I'm not so sure about it. But the reality of it is that if it's anything important or system critical, humans should be reviewing it. By the way, to do this talk, I asked the AI to help me generate this talk. Only about 60% of it was even useful. The other 40% would have sent me right off a cliff with y'all. But it's real easy to hit the easy button. Life is not easy. It is challenging. It will kick you in the teeth, and getting back up is the most important part of anything you'll do in your life. A great man once said, you were not put here for comfort. You were put here to be great. I'm challenging everyone to be great. And in a world of AI, do not take yourself out of the loop. Make sure you're still reviewing these things. Now, eventually, once you get really advanced with it, you can move to what's called human on the loop. Now, on the loop is after the fact. So, if it deletes a database, how do you go back and look at that later? The governance processes and controls just my company is put into place is we have our stuff in triplicate on backups whenever there's a systems push, every single time. And one of those backups is put in a place that the AI cannot reach, because it will delete the database and the backup of your database, but not the backup of the backup it doesn't know exists. But without that, we would have lost 3 weeks worth of that, 3 weeks worth of work. And we only learned that because the first time it happened, we went and asked one of our AIs, we're like, hey, where's the login for John? It says, oh, let me check the database. I'm sorry, there's no information in the database. Well, where's John's information? I'm sorry, I must have rung the wrong command. John no longer exists. By the way, this is not just a cautionary tale. If anybody works in AI systems, ask them what's the worst thing that's ever happened to them. If they don't have a story, they hadn't been working in it. We all have a story, and probably have a couple. But the idea is that governance can be very expensive. But in a small business, you can decide to make those changes now. At IBM, when I worked for them years ago, that kind of governance change I made about the triplicate backups would have taken us 9 months to put in place. And would have had to review by like 5 people, plus it would have hadn't gotten past the bean counters. It's really a challenge. This is the thing I want to let you know. Brakes create speed. Formula One racing cars, they go from 0 to 200 miles an hour and they hit a blind turn and they can stop within 4 seconds. They have $200,000 sets of brakes, arguably the most expensive brakes on the entire planet. Every one of those cars has them. They have them because without them, they can't go fast. And I want you as a small business to go very, very fast. But you need to have brakes put in place, and you need to have proper systems and governance. And by the way, as a small business, you can come up with these plans next week. You need to have policies and procedures for the things your people are doing. You need to say, you may use this the following way. And there's a whole set of this you guys may not know about. 68% of people at companies right now are using AIs that their bosses don't know about. That means if any of you have employees, that's happening. And half of those people have put your confidential information into publicly available systems. That should send a chill down everybody's spine. Because if you don't have a policy in place, how do you enforce it? If they don't, and by the way, 90% of the people who've done this, when you ask the employees about it, they just think they're being efficient. They're trying to help you. They're not trying to hurt you. They just don't know. We haven't even told them that. And by the way, the big corporations, over 60% of them don't have a professional governance policy. They haven't figured out even what they're doing with that. It's going to take them a long time to catch up. You can be faster. You can move in the gap, and you can do that now. So with everybody here, I want you to understand that by putting the brakes in your system, it will help you be faster. It'll help you move faster than other people. Now, this is the intellectual property attorney in me. I always have to give this advice. Do not put your special sauce into these systems. The law is currently in flux with this a little bit. There's a case called United States v. Hepner that came out of the Second Circuit in New York a few weeks ago. If you get information from your attorney, do not put that in a publicly available system. It might ruin your attorney-client privilege. I would say will, because if you're in the Second Circuit in New York, it looks like it does. But the reality of it is this is moving so quickly right now that people don't know. Look at another attorney on it. Try to figure these things out. These are the kind of governance things that just seem easy. Now, I know it's very appealing. I get a quick response from Gemini on it really fast. That sounds cool, but if you just gave all of the information that your attorney that you just paid for, and you put that work product in there and it's now discoverable, that means if I'm on the opposite side, I'm going to find out what AIs you use, and I'm going to ask for all that information. Because now I know your entire battle plan. That's just one example. When you put stuff in a publicly available system, you, in many cases, are training other data. And if it's private information, like HIPAA, GDPR, there's all these acronyms. The reality of it is you may have just gotten rid of something that was really important. If it's your special sauce, if it's your trade secret, keep it so. Don't put it in the systems. Now, the one thing I want to challenge everyone today, find one bottleneck in your business that you can start putting in by next week. By this time next Wednesday, I want you to find one piece of AI, tech, software, etc. Hit me up if you want to. Ask some other people what they're doing. Find one piece you can do that. Do one this week. Do one the following week. Do the one the week after that. And before long, these dominoes start to tip. 1 turns into 2, turns into 4, turns into 32, turns into 1,024. This is the kind of acceleration advantage you can get as a small business owner right now because of artificial intelligence. Because in a world of Goliaths, David with a sling is the most powerful person on the battlefield. Being small is your advantage. Being maneuverable is your competitive win. It's your edge. And you can outmaneuver and you can outposition the giants and Goliaths out there. This window is not open forever. Those ships, those cargo containers are starting to turn, but they're not here yet. So for the next year or two, you can literally use this to build the kind of company you never thought was possible. And I'd like you to all be winners on the other side of all this. That's it. Thank you.